The PWC Network. What the world is watching and listening to.
سبحان فالق الإصباح.
Allahu Akbar!
Ding dong. Hello?
Yes, that's right, infidels. You found us here, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, where you get the most real talk, the best reviews of all your favorite wrestling shows from AEW and WWE, Impact, and more, because we're going to break it all down with the best staff in professional wrestling at HMG. So you don't need to go anywhere else, because there's no 5 stars here. There's only $5 face slaps, infidel.
Allahu Akbar!
So sign up today, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, and join the Hameen Army for the most real talk in professional wrestling. YOLO!
Camera, swallow the dagger, cut off the ones who disobey, follow the leader into the fever, one by one until we burn. Smile for the camera, follow the dagger, cut off the ones who disobey, follow the leader.
That's my fam, I'll hold them down forever. Us against the world, we can battle whoever.
Hello everyone and welcome to the HMG PWC Full Gear post-game show. I'm your host Jimmy T, and my co-host, he's back as usual. He's bloodshot, he's evil, he's barely even awake, but he's here for channelattitude.com. It is Jeff Lippman. Welcome back to the show. And man, I thoroughly enjoyed myself tonight, man. I actually felt it was much better than I expected it to be.
It was better than I expected to be. I won't say I thoroughly enjoyed myself, but I'm glad I watched the show. But I mean, I would not put it up there like people were saying. Oh, they hit a home run. No, they didn't hit a home run, but it was a solid double.
Well, it was pretty predictable for the most part. I did get one wrong. I believe you got probably everything right. I got two wrong. I got two wrong, sorry.
Yeah, you got two wrong. One I blame Jargo on because he talked me out of Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Jargo, that's on you, bro. That's on you.
It's
but
on me. I should have the strength of my conviction.
Well, like I was saying, man. Well, which matches did you get wrong anyway? Which ones? I know we both got Joe
and Jamie
right.
Hayter.
Okay, all right, and yeah, that makes two of us. Well, like I said, it was explosive. It was a fun card. Look, I'm not gonna lie, it was pretty fun, even though it was pretty predictable. I mean, we do have a new AEW World Champion in MJF in the most predictable sense, if you know what I mean. Yeah. And we've got a lot of new champions. Well, not a lot, but we've got a couple.
A swerve of no one, but yeah, we had a few title changes. Listen,
Swift.
I'll say it. I mean, okay, Forbidden Door half the matches didn't need to be on that card, and that was way too long. On this one, I would say you could have gotten rid of, like, 2 out of the 3 pre-show matches were completely unnecessary. Frankly, because they weren't doing the tournament finals on the pay-per-view. They could have done the Starks Cage match this week for Dynamite and then made the finals the main event on Dynamite the following Wednesday. And made it important, or put that on Winter is Coming or whatever. Or I guess the title shot is Winter is Coming. I think they have 2 Dynamites between now and then. Anyway, or they could have used the Rampage. I don't know. Whatever it is, I guess with Thanksgiving and shit. But the Kingston match was masturbatory. The Best Friends match was completely unnecessary. And you could have put the Sting match on the pre-show. That would have been fine.
Yeah, but it's Sting. You don't put him on the pre-show, man. So let's be honest. I mean, that's a bit of a slap to the face to someone like Sting and even Jarrett, I guess, to a lesser extent. If you know
one of the
saying.
women's match, I would have put Jade and Nyla on the pre-show, and I know that they want to have 3 women's match on the pay-per-view, so that was like a big thing for them. So they sort of couldn't once they announced it. But all right, whatever. It is what it is. There were less matches that didn't need to happen when Forbidden Door, like I said, at least close to half the matches didn't need to happen, and none of the backstage segments were important. This card had 2 or 3 backstage segments that were just not important, but none of them were particularly long. It's not like there wasn't that sort of cumulative piling on. So, I mean, I'm pleased. It still was 7 to 11:30 or 11.
It was still 5 hours, Jeff.
Yeah, right. It was close to a 5-hour show, and that's too long. I mean, with a pre-show, I think I can go 4 hours. 3 hours, 45 minutes, 4 hours is fine. But 5, too long.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. I totally agree with you. And there was times where I was like, well, I hope I don't fall asleep. But once the Elite and their matchup was up with the Death Triangle, it was pretty solid all the way through after that. But let's get into it, actually, Jeff. I guess we'll start with the pre-show matches. Let's see, where do we start? Well, let's go in the first matchup on the pre-show. It was Orange Cassidy, Rocky Romero, Trent Beretta, Chuck Taylor, and Danhausen defeating the Factory in QT Marshall, Cole Carter, Nick Camarado, Aaron Solo, and Lee Johnson. And dude, excuse me, that match absolutely made me laugh, because at the end, Danhausen comes out as the 5th man, carrying the jar of teeth and the spike. He hits the ring full of violence, lariats, and German suplexes. He cracks Camarado with the jar. Orange Punch connects, and he dumps the teeth into Nick's mouth off the ropes, and then they win. But he was doing more than that, dude. He was doing suplexes. I mean, he was clearing house, literally, during that matchup. And it's funny, because we were actually doing Uncaged while we were talking about that match. And no shit, I was shocked. I was like, wow. Even though I know Danhausen can wrestle.
No, he can wrestle. I mean, but I don't know. They've been treating him as a joke up until now. And all of a sudden he can beat everyone else. Okay, it's the Factory. And even though Nick Camarado is 290 pounds, we don't care, because he's never won anything that we've seen. But this was silly. This match absolutely did not need to be on the pre-show or on the show at all. This could have been a Dynamite match. This could have been a Rampage match. It could have been, a dark match just for the live crowd to get them going. I don't know. It's not important enough to talk about. The only thing of note is, is this what we're going to get from Danhausen going forward, or are we to believe that he's a real wrestler now, that he's going to be like Hook or Orange Cassidy and he's going to be booked to win too, or is he just going to revert? Because if he's just going to revert, like they should have done like on Halloween or something like that, where on Halloween he gets like his superpowers, and then the rest of the year he sort of exactly.
No, but look, silly match. He looked mighty impressive, and like you just said, where do you go now? You can't go backwards now. Danhausen has to be taken seriously now. After what I saw, he looked impressive. Like I said, I'm not going to lie. What he did was great. He looked like an absolute pro, and it was like, wow. Even though I've seen him wrestle before proper, but the fact that we haven't seen it in AEW, it was a shock factor, no doubt. But yeah, nothing really to write home other than that. But we move on
I could
to the
argue
next.
with you, but I don't think this match merits any more discussion.
Well, if it means anything, actually, Jeff, Danhausen blasts QT Marshall with a spike, and then we get a 5-way babyface hug.
Awesome.
Anyway, we move on to the next match, which is still on the 0 hour. It is Brian Cage versus Absolute Ricky Starks for the AEW World Championship #1 Contenders Tournament semi-final match. And, this was obvious. Ricky Starks ends up winning by pinfall with a Rochambeau, even though I felt like Ricky Starks, and I'm sure you felt the same way, didn't really look himself during this matchup.
I didn't think so. He doesn't look 100%, and I'm wondering what was wrong with him while he wasn't cleared, because apparently that was real, and they delayed it, and but he worked pretty hard in the Lance Archer match in that he took a lot of offense. And this match he took a lot of offense too, and then all of a sudden boom, 2 moves, and he pinned Brian Cage, and which is no surprise to anyone. But yeah, Ricky Starks doesn't look 100%, and that's sort of the problem with him. He's almost never 100% for a guy who says he's absolute. He's like absolute vodka. He's missing the E. He's it's like incomplete. He's absolutely incomplete. But okay, anyway, they at least they didn't make him work twice tonight. So this was fine. Okay match. I mean, 3 years ago, I would have been outraged by Ricky Starks being Lance Archer and Brian Cage and 2 back-to-back nights. But I've been beaten down, so I know what to expect.
Well, we get our first comment in the chat by Chris Paul. He says, "What a garbage show this was. How can someone win an interim championship from another person and still be called interim?" Yeah, you're right. I mean, I won't go as far as say it was a garbage show. Yeah. But you're right about the interim title situation in the women's division.
Yeah,
it is weird.
Listen, I think I was the first one to bitch and moan about it, at least the first one that I heard about it, because I was the one who said, I get it with Cody, but the second time now you're trapped with precedent, and and at least make it that you're pretty sure the person will be back within 30 days. This is garbage, but if you're going to have an interim title, I don't see any reason why you can't win and lose it during the. I mean, what's the point of keeping the title alive unless it can switch hands? So I mean, I guess you can treat it sort of as a #1 contenders with benefits status, but this is his name is Chris. You took the Jargo approach, and that was the logic that I bought into, which made me go from 12 out of 13 to 11 out of 13. So screw you too.
And shout out to Chris Paul, because he's always an avid listener, and he's everywhere we are. So thank you, Chris, man.
Every breath you take.
Well, let's move on actually to the next matchup, which is the final match, I think, of the 0 hour. It is everybody's supposedly not dream match. Eddie Kingston versus Jun Akiyama in what was a decent match, surprisingly. Not that I was fully paying attention to it because we were doing the show at the time. But from what I saw, it looked a lot better. Well, doing a show and actually sort of glancing at it seemed a lot better, that's for sure.
It was a typical old school New Japan match, except with Eddie Kingston's horrible chops, which are terrible. The rest of it was fine, but listen, maybe this was Eddie Kingston's dream match, but pay-per-views are not to allow wrestlers to have self-masturbatory matches. And I'm not ashamed to say I've been watching wrestling over 45 years. I'm 54 years old. I probably should be ashamed to say it. I've never heard this fucking guy's name. I don't know who he is. I've never heard of him. And if I've never heard of him, nobody cares. Nobody in the audience cared. They're all pretending that they know who he is. Like maybe 1 out of 100 people in that crowd knew who he was. I mean, let's be honest. They didn't know who Suzuki was. They're certainly going to know who this jabroni is. Now I find out that we're seeing Ishii again. Like I got to see shrink-wrapped King Kong Bundy. Come on, man.
Shrink-wrapped King Kong Bundy.
But listen, if Eddie Kingston wants to have a masturbatory match, let him hold his own promotion, do it at House of Glory. Or if Tony Khan wants to give it to him, book it on Rampage. Nobody's watching that shit anyway, except for us. I don't know. It's not that the match was terrible. It's just that it didn't need to be on the pay-per-view, and that got me mad early because I knew this was going to be a 5-hour show. So that's 15 minutes that didn't need to be there, and along with the best friends 10-minute, 10-man match, which was probably another 15 minutes. So right there's a half hour that could have been cut from the show easily enough, and you turn your really what was more like a 4 hour 40-minute show into a 4 hour and 10-minute show right there.
FYI though, Jeff, everyone knew Kana Nina Ray, the Suzuki song, by the way. Everyone was singing
Didn't
through the song. Oh, yes, they did. When he
Not
first
the first
appeared,
time, by the second time they did, because everyone told me you need to know this. The first time, hey, no, listen, I pay attention. The first time, there was like 16 people in
I'll prove that to you because I specifically remember recording the show about that show. Anyway, doesn't matter. That's for another time. But we got another comment by Chris in the chat who says, on the positive side, we will see either Ethan Page or Starks against MJF in the near future. Those promos alone will be fun, but really it will likely be Wardlow to beat MJF down the road. More than likely, he's probably right.
I'm not sure what's more than likely, to be honest with you. I mean,
I'm talking about with Wardlow anyway, I think. I don't know about Page just yet.
I would have believed that about 8 months ago. Now I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm thinking the most likely person at this point is Moxley when he comes back. It won't be Ethan Page or Ricky Starks, which is, they're both going to get this little push and then, go back into, what I like to call Abaddon land, which is sort of like, near purgatory.
It's pretty much purgatory.
I mean, the only interesting thing is that Ethan Page is in the firm, but I don't know that anyone at AEW remembers that and how that ties into this plan that may or may not have involved them with William Regal. I mean, like that's a little interesting, not really, but a little. But he fired them, so I don't know. I just don't know. But yes, we'll see a new matchup.
We definitely will, hopefully. And look, I actually think MJF is going to have a long run with that belt. Like, at least a year run. I do, yeah, I actually do. I think he's going to have a real long run. Look, I could eat my words right now, but I don't know why I get that impression. I mean, why not give him a long run? I mean, if you're going to give him the title now, you might as well fucking run with him all the way. You know what I mean? Like, go all out with him, no pun intended. Just, put everything behind him.
I mean, they have to gauge the interest. They have to see if the ratings on Dynamite start to go up. They've got to see, how the next pay-per-view does with presumably him in the main event, defending the title. I don't know if putting Regal with him, is something that's interesting down the road. I mean, everyone predicted this, but nobody thought it was a great swerve. It just seemed like something that they would think was a great swerve. But I don't know why you put a spokesperson with the best talker in the company. But I didn't know why they put a spokesperson with Moxley and Bryan, who could both talk.
Well, I've been saying the same thing, Jeff, every week. That's the only thing I don't like about the Regal MJF pairing, but it makes the most logical sense to go with them two as a pairing. And if, look, I'm going to say this now. I know for a fact we here at the PWC were the first ones to call what was going to happen with MJF and Regal, right?
Right down to the knuckles. Right now, he's going to use
down to the knuckles, exactly.
He's going to change his mind, and Regal's going to give him the brass knuckles.
Down to the fucking knuckles, dude. We absolutely called
this is something we said like this week. The first we said this week.
4 weeks ago, bro. It was 4 weeks ago that we said it, and I said it. Nobody at that time had suggested what we did, and those suggestions only started coming along in the last week and a half, really, right, leading up to the pay-per-view. So,
right, because they kept doing the devil, and people start figuring it out. Oh,
exactly.
We're up on that.
Exactly, because the devil was always Regal all along.
The old devil and the young devil, they got together. Satan and Satan's son. It's Satan and Damien got together. I mean, I guess if the firm still was part of this, and the firm is sort of his rat pack, sort of like how Omega had all that protection. So if a Roman has the bloodline, he'll definitely have a long run if that's the case. But the firm's a weird group, so I don't know. Maybe they'll spin off, and maybe he'll just hire Morrissey on his own. Even though last time he hired Morrissey, he lost the match.
Weird is an understatement, Jeff. Just quietly. I mean, seriously. Yeah. Anyway, look, let's go back to did we even we didn't even talk about what happened with Eddie Kingston and what's it called, Akiyama.
Nobody cares what happened.
But I just want to say one thing. Post-match, an emotional Eddie Kingston raises Akiyama's hand, and the All Japan legend returns the favor. Ortiz comes down and embraces Kingston, and Eddie gets on the mic and asks how much time he has. Says it's not about him. He doesn't want us to thank him, and you're right. Fuck him. We don't care. No one cares.
Self-indulgent baby. He's been playing
crying,
with,
man.
I get cut off in my promos for the last year and a half, and how he's not getting any important matches. This is the match he chooses. This is what he wants. This is like when okay, remember when Omega was like being tormented by Moxley and Don Callis said, I'll give you anything you want. And like John Moxley or someone said, okay, I want not a shot at the championship. I want a tag match next week. It was like this. I mean, it was even worse. You can have anything you want to make you happy. Well, I want to I want to wrestle some old Japanese guy that I love on a pay-per-view. Okay, Eddie, sounds good. Now Eddie's happy. Now he gets the time, and now he's all weepy and crying. This is what
exactly, and cries like a little bitch too. On top of that, like in tears, bro.
Oh yeah, he had a match with He had a professional wrestling match with a professional wrestler.
It's like he orgasmed in the ring.
Holy shit!
He saw Jesus. That's what happened there. I mean, Jesus.
What a puss swad.
Yeah, I know. It makes him look actually bipolar.
That I can't get myself out of. So I'm just going to stop and just say this sucked, and nobody fucking cares. I didn't care. Fuck Eddie Kingston with his self-indulgent, masturbatory, doofy matches, and fuck Tony Khan for giving into this bullshit.
What he said. Perfectly put. That was brilliant, Jeff.
Thank you.
I couldn't have put it any better myself, so I'm not even going to give that any justice because you comment of the night easily. Anyway, let's move on to the main show, actually, Jeff. It is Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Luchasaurus in a steel cage match. And I'll be fair here. I'll be actually fair. This match wasn't too bad. It had a lot of things going for it. It had the drama. It had somewhat psychology. Jungle Boy ends up winning, even though that Shawn Michaels leap off the top of the cage with the elbow drop, I don't think really connected properly with the table. Or was I saying things?
It did no, it didn't, and like he hit it wrong. I mean, this is very close to probably exactly what everyone thought it was going to be. Christian getting injected, was probably a little bit different. Like, I mean, I think what was I predicted that Christian would probably be trying to interfere like towards the top of the cage, and the Jungle Boy would like push off his head or his, with it was like and like jump down 14 feet onto Lucha. So except for Christian being there, yeah, that's what he did. He jumped off something really high, did a Shane McMahon spot. He didn't hit it as well as Shane McMahon. It was a little bit weird to go for the submission instead of the pin after that move, but I guess he wanted to add insult to injury because it's a grudge match. It was fine. It was probably 4 or 5 minutes longer than I would have liked it to be, but whatever. This is a match they've been building, or a feud they've been building for about a year or more. It was supposed to with Christian. Christian got hurt, so they put Luchasaurus into it. Luchasaurus doesn't have the personality of Christian, and for a big guy, he really doesn't. Since he's always sort of just been told to be sort of an oak tree. He's always been the extra guy. The muscle doesn't have to say anything. He doesn't really have much presence to him for a big guy. So it was sort of a for being a big match, it was sort of a nothing match. It like I often call things like Coke Zero, that it tastes okay, but there's no calories.
Coke Zero, bro.
This was a Coke Zero match. It's fine. I wish it was a smaller bottle, but it was fine.
It was a good match to start the card, like the main card on, I think.
Because, I mean, first of all, you got the time to lower the cage, and then you can raise it while you're doing your other in between, recaps or promos or vignettes while people are going to the bathroom and buying concessions. So yeah, it was definitely the right match to start the card with. Unless it was a world title match in a cage, there's no reason to start with anything else. It would take too much time. So no, I don't have any issue with the match placement. I don't really have any real issue with the match. I mean, we had blood. It just the big man was dominating until he wasn't. The underdog babyface was fighting from underneath and got his revenge. And I guess,
and it felt like the blow off too. It felt like the blow off to this feud, but we both know it's not, which is stupid on top of that.
Well, but maybe it will be until Christian gets better. Like maybe Jungle Boy will fight himself into some sort of contention. Not that you need to be in contention. You can just like run into Orange Cassidy and ask him what's in his bag, and I'll go, "You like it? You want to fight for it?" Maybe Jungle Boy will be in contention for an important title in 4 months, and we'll forget because we won't have seen Christian for 6 weeks, and then Christian runs out and screws him out of it, and then they can have the proper feud they were supposed to have.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. Chris Paul in the chat says, once again, does anyone know the market for AEW in Japan? I mean, what do the companies over there gain by sending wrestlers to be on Rampage or Dynamite? Seems like a one-way road.
Do we know what the market is? I mean, the only thing we could tell you is that Forbidden Door got 7,000 buys through New Japan World. So
really?
That probably tells you. Yeah. So that probably tells you that the market for AEW in Japan is probably pretty low. What do they get? I guarantee that Tony Khan pays 100% of their freight. They probably get 3 times what their usual rate is. They get flown to the United States. They take probably 7 to 10 bookings over a 2-week period. They go back, and New Japan or DDT or whoever their name gets floated on US TV, which does them very little good, but basically Tony Khan is paying to advertise for other companies because it's self-masturbatory for him. He loves New Japan Wrestling. He loves all these old fat bald guys. He loves the same shit Eddie Kingston loves, including crying.
Look, man, everyone knows I'm a Japanese wrestling fan, so I'm not going to shit on Japanese wrestling like the way you do. But I get where you're coming from.
Not shitting on the wrestling, just shitting on the appetite for it here. And also, what you can tell from New Japan is generally they're giving the least they can. I mean, yes, we saw Okada a couple of times and Tanahashi.
Yeah,
but the person we see the most is Ishii. Every now and then, Hikuleo. I mean, we're Rocky Romero. We're getting their D squad.
That's true. No, you're right. It would have been great to see, say, Naito, even on Dynamite or whatever. But
it's fun to see Naito, Sonata, even Evil.
Yeah, we didn't get none of them. Not even Evil, right? I don't think Evil ever made an appearance in AEW. Yeah, interesting. Well, anyway, Jeff, let's move on because the next matchup I felt like was the match of the night, even though I'm confused, because it's the Death Triangle in Pac, Penta El Zero Miedo, and Rey Fenix, not Phoenix.
Absolutely the match of the night. I agree 100%. This match was great.
It was, and before we continue, it was against the Elite in Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, and Nick Jackson for the AEW World Trios Championships, and Don Callis is also on commentary for this one. I want to say this: was this a Bedlam match, or was this a normal tag trios match? Because if it was Bedlam, brilliant fucking match. If it wasn't, then I've got a lot of issues with it.
Oh, this is the one thing I want to ask about the cage match. Did they make it clear that the cage match was pinfall or submission only?
What? Only?
Well, if it wasn't, Luchasaurus walked right out of the cage door early on. I'm like, did he just win? Didn't he just win when he walked out the cage? I mean, the cage match, if you walk out, you win. I mean, remember Christian lifted the key from the referee, and the referees started following around slowly. Christian unlocks the door, and Luchasaurus just walks out, and then they continue to fight. And it wasn't clear. So I'm there confused for 2.5 minutes going, is this submission or DQ only? Commentary is not saying anything. And if they said it earlier, it went over my head. But if this is a normal cage match, I mean, you can win by pinfall submission, but normally you win a cage match by whoever gets out of the cage first. And like I said, Luchasaurus just strolled on out.
That's weird. Maybe they will. Well, there's your out, right? I mean, if they really, really want, come this Wednesday on Dynamite, Luchasaurus or Christian can actually say that you never won the match, Jungle Boy. You think you did, but you didn't. Blah blah blah.
Maybe one of the listeners. I mean, I know we have at least one knows that. Anyway, but was this a Bedlam? I mean, I don't think it was like a tornado match rules, but I think that with the trios or 6-man. There's more latitude than with tag team. And listen, AEW doesn't do disqualifications anyway. And we're going to talk about it when we get to the Jarrett's Darby lethal match. I mean, Satnam
Right.
Singh kept doing things right there, and I don't recall that being a no DQ match either. And you got Satnam Singh coming into the match not once but twice.
Okay, well, and that's fine, right? We don't know shit. That's fine.
The
Right?
referee's looking right at a telephone pole, basically.
Okay, well then specify for fuck's sake, AEW, that you guys are just basically, it's a wrestling promotion. Anything fucking goes.
It's lucha rules, basically.
Right. It's not ECW, but well, isn't it 20 in AEW?
It's supposed to be a 20 only in lucha rules matches, but I mean the refs don't even bother to count half the time.
I know this has been a gripe of ours for probably since its inception.
It is,
right?
I thought it was a 20 count at first because I think one of the first matches was a lucha rules
I'm sure
match.
it fucking was. In Japan they did 20 as well.
Rule?
Right. I don't know, man. I don't know with this company anymore, but we just got to go with the flow. You just got to look at it for what it is, right? If you look at it for what the fuck it is, awesome shit.
Yeah,
but
I like this match quite a bit. No House of Black interference.
Surprisingly,
Pac, who seemingly forgot about the bell hammer on Dynamite this week, remembered it this week. Phoenix again was not into it. He basically had a similar story in the Swerve match, claimed, but Phoenix sort of reluctantly took the timekeeper hammer.
He still fucking did it.
And they won. And so the lessons we learned from professors Phoenix and Lee are that cheaters win, and people who play by the rules lose, and lose not just status and titles, but also friends.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying. Get it?
Now, are you aware that they are now going to have a best of 7 series between the Elite and the?
They're not.
Yes,
they are.
Best of 7.
I was saying this in text messages where you and I were texting each other. I actually sent you a text saying, "Really, best out of 7 matches?"
I said, "Kill me now!" Right?
That was my reaction. Me now. Wow. Look, I'm sure they're all going to be bangers, right? I'm sure. But you can't drag this out 7 weeks, man.
I just don't want to see the same people fighting every single week with each other.
And I bet it's going to go all the way to 7. I guess I'll gauge the crowd.
Of course it's going all the way to 7.
Oh, boy, man. Come on, man. I know Regal was it. No, not Regal. It was Booker T. And was it Finley? I think in WCW or WWE.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen best of 7. I mean, there was Cesaro
Benoit and Booker as well. And Benoit and Booker T in WCW.
Yeah. Listen, I've never really been a fan of best of 7 because I don't really want to see anyone that much, but singles matches tend not to go as long as trios matches do, and there's only so many spots I can take. It's not my preferred type of wrestling. When it's done well, I enjoy it, but too much of it is too much, and that's too much. Like if they said best 2 out of 3, I'd be like, that's not so bad. I mean, I would prefer that the Elite had to. Listen, I'm glad they were self-aware because I picked that triangle to retain because I did think the Elite were self-aware enough to know they shouldn't book themselves with titles right away. They will absolutely recapture these titles. But I don't know what's going on with Jimmy over there, and I hope I'll just keep talking, I guess. But yeah, it's going to be too much of Cero Miedo and super kicks and V-triggers and 8-point arm drags and things like that. So you were frozen on my side, so I don't know if I was frozen on your side, so I don't know. I just kept
you were frozen on my side, but I'm pretty sure I was the problem and not you, so probably would have recorded what you said. But were you still talking about the trios match?
Yeah, I didn't want to move on to another match, but I wasn't saying anything important. I was just sort of complaining about the things that we'll see too much of in the next 7 weeks. Which is interesting because if House of Black doesn't come back until after this best of 7, they'll have been out about 4 months from that, which, isn't exactly a suspension, and it's not exactly the 6-month non-compete that they were talking about. But but it's enough of a mental health break. But it wouldn't make sense with all the vignettes we're getting. I mean, the implication of these vignettes, unless it's Vera is coming or Emelina, usually means that somebody's coming soon. I mean, so
True. Very soon.
But I don't know. I guess we'll see.
Can I ask, speaking of Emma quickly, is Emma signed to WWE now? Is that official or?
Yeah, she's been on the last couple of weeks. Yeah, and they're even
Okay, all right.
they're even playing into her real life relationship with Madcap Moss. Probably and I don't know. I've never really seen anything in Emma, or Tennille Dashwood, so I don't know what people say. I don't really remember seeing her wrestle because she came into Ring of Honor with Lifeblood and she immediately injured her shoulder and was out for a year and didn't resign. And I don't watch Impact.
She's a much better wrestler than you give her credit for, Jeff.
I'm not giving credit. I just don't remember her wrestling. But it's been probably 5 years, and I don't know. I don't find her to have a whole lot of charisma, and like she's pretty, but like she's not
charismatic. Nah, she's not charismatic at all. But she is a mighty fine, good wrestler in the ring. But anyway, that's for another show and another time. But like I was saying, man, this match had absolutely everything. And towards the end, Pac throws Ray the hammer, but he throws it right back and gets clubbed with a V trigger. And then Jula can't keep Phoenix down because Matt throws the bastard into the barricade. Penta running hot, sling blades for everybody. I mean, there was Frankensteiners on Phoenix. There was BTE triggers on Pac. There was everything in this matchup. It was chaos. It was quick. It was fast. And I'm going to say this: Kenny and the Bucks looked so on point tonight, man.
They looked crisp.
Very crisp. Probably some of the crispiest I've ever seen them. I'm not going to lie. They must have been training a lot.
You sound like you liked what you saw. The crispiest.
I did. I liked it.
You're on the Peanuts Wrestling channel.
You asshole.
Oh, I was a second too late. You were about to spit water out. I almost got you. I almost
not all over my stuff, please.
Real question though. Don Callis on commentary. Their faces now, and you know he's a natural heel, but he's trying not to be too heely, but he's still himself, which is sort of a dick, and he's a great dick. But how does he work with this, and why is Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler still with them? I mean, their faces, guys, stay in the back.
Yeah, I don't have a clue, but it is what it is. They're always going to be there,
dude. Penny a god and all that other stuff. I mean,
Don Callis is awesome, dude. Like I like Don
for a heel,
right? But even though, well, they're kind of tweeners, but they are baby faces. Don't get me wrong, but Callis sort of brings him into that tweener sort of mode. Do you know what I mean? By the way he talks about him.
No, he's the only him and the entourage. I mean, is like Tony Khan is such a tool. I mean, I can't possibly say I can't pay them a pay-per-view appearance fee if they don't appear on TV. So let's get them with security. I mean, I'm sure he'll pay them anyway. I mean, they all have, backstage jobs. I think packaging the action figures or whatever their EVP jobs entitle them to do, drawing posters, playing Hangman, playing with Hangman.
Yeah, exactly. For fuck's sake. Well, Chris in the chat says, well, fellas, I must sign off. We'll listen to the rest of the show at work tomorrow. Always entertaining hearing your take on shit. One more question. If Luchasaurus would drop the Dino gimmick, come out in a suit speaking proper grammar as a dominant heel, would it work or is it too late for him? So you're basically saying, Chris, you want him to be Aaron Edwards, basically? Not Edwards.
Aaron Stevens.
Aaron Stevens, yes. Sorry. That's what I meant.
Is it too late for him? It might be only because it's so crowded in AEW, but he does have a master. So if he came out as the giant genius, I think that would be fun. But it seems like I think he needs to go somewhere else to do it. Like he needs to go like to Impact or someone and do it, or maybe try it out on Ring of Honor if they ever do get TV, which I'm pretty sure they're not. But or maybe that's what AEW does. They lend him to New Japan and then he tries out that gimmick there.
He would be perfect in Japan, even with the Luchasaurus gimmick. I think.
Yeah, but he's asking a particular question. I like the idea with him being using his master's thing and walking around a robe and whatever. And like
you've always said that too.
Yeah, same. People have been judging me on my appearance for the last 15 years. I'm pretending to be a dinosaur now, but nobody remembers I was a TV star and I have a master's in medieval studies. I can recite the Canterbury Tales in 6 languages. And, and just, I don't know, it'd be fun.
Chris also says, yeah, if he came out and ripped the mask off, saying enough of this shit and tears through the roster, that would be great. It would be. It reminds me of Kane taking off his mask, if you remember, with RVD.
Nobody tears through the roster. Nobody is an easy out. Maybe every now and then the Nick Namath or QT Marshall gets squashed, but for Serpentico. But for what it would be funny if what he did was go after everyone who had like a lizard or reptile gimmick. So he goes after Serpentico, oh, I hate lizard gimmicks. Like anyone who uses the Cobra, it's like.
But what would you call him? Like, would you do like a Abyss Chris Park sort of gimmick, even?
I don't know. I would need some time to think about it, but I think the Genius Giant is fine.
The Genius Giant, or the Genius Dinosaur.
I mean, it has a sense. I've got a master's in medieval studies, and I'm about to go medieval on your ass. You could do the Ving Rhames line from the Pulp Fiction. I mean, I don't know.
You could.
Yeah, you could have all sorts of, you could have moves like the Iron Maiden and the disembowelment. I don't know.
Jesus.
He could be the Flame Man. I don't know, but nobody tears
Flamista.
The yeah. I don't know. Those are not so good, but we could brainstorm it, but but he would have to come out like Lanny Poffo or Shane Douglas did and give recitations and
Dean,
right? Oh, it'd be funny though if Eddie Kingston said, "Jesus Christ, I've had enough. Everyone interrupts me, and you're sitting here talking about Beowulf. Fuck this!" And they kills Eddie Kingston.
That would be funny for some reason. That I'd laugh. I mean, yeah, because really he's got no substance.
Reptilian. He was a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, I mean, even that would be funny where he's gone loony, but like totally, it's a conspiracy, blah blah blah. Dinosaurs are still out there.
I would love to do alternate reality, alternate timeline gimmick show, and I think that's an awesome one to have fun with. But it's 1:17 a.m. my time. We're only on the second match of the card, so
wow, yeah.
We're talking about alternate gimmicks for Luchasaurus.
I know, what the fuck, right? I mean, but no, that's a good question though. But yeah, like we were saying, and we're trying to go through, Death Triangle did win by pinfall with a victory roll from Rey Fenix on Kenny Omega to retain the AEW Trios Championship. Post-match, Fenix is down about giving in and using the hammer, but Pac and Penta give him a pep talk. And then we move on to the next match. It is Jade Cargill, your AEW TBS champion, versus Nyla Rose, who apparently is also the TBS champion. If you saw the graphics, that's what it fucking said. They're both the TBS champions.
That's dumb.
How fucking dumb is that shit?
It's as dumb as having Vicky Guerrero out there screeching like a vulture.
Who's your mommy, Jeff? Who's your mommy?
Ridiculous. She's just terrible.
Not your puppy. Well, obviously, it was a throwback to Eddie Guerrero. It is his anniversary, actually, pretty much now.
It's always his anniversary. Every goddamn
but really, I know, but he died in November.
Every wrestling show, someone's doing a tribute to Eddie Guerrero, which waters down tributes.
Yeah, I mean, everyone loved Eddie, though, man, so I'm cool with it. But yeah, you're right. They do overdo it.
Started. I mean, it must have started when I went on hiatus from wrestling because Eddie wasn't that loved when I was watching. He was just a guy.
Yeah, well, I was a big fan of Eddie's, but yeah. Anyway, Cargill ends up getting the win. She did look like Thundercat, oddly enough.
A for F for her coming out as Thundercats. And I tweeted, Thundercats can't be heels, and she wasn't. She wrestled as the face, even though she has baddies there, but the baddies didn't really do anything. Marina Shafir was there. Thank God she did nothing, and Vicky Guerrero was there screeching like a freaking banshee. It was terrible. I mean, it's not entertaining, and if I was a fan, I'd be upset by that. I would want money back for that. Anyway, yeah, this was a pretty sloppy match, but this is what you'd expect. this was also probably longer than it should have been, but I know they want to keep Nyla as a beast, blah, blah, blah. Her gladiator flap unfortunately moved out of its strategic positioning. So that
Can we call this match what it is? It's a fucking intergender match, all right?
That's what See, Jimmy got what he wanted. He got plenty of cock shots.
Fuck. Thank God our feed was pixelated.
When he was calling for the small package, AEW said no. You're getting the big package and you're getting the women's match.
Fuck you, TK, you cunt. Seriously, fucking hell. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, this is an intergender match. I don't care what anyone says.
And I really wanted to give Jade my $1 this week for Full Gear for the Thundercat, and she is hot, but I couldn't because somebody else listened to my advice later on in the show. So,
oh really?
This match was whatever. It was what you knew it would be. You knew it would be 3 or 4 minutes too long. It was exactly that, and
it was the shittest match on the card. Let's be real here.
Well, on the regular show, I mean,
right?
Yeah, maybe on the entire show.
Possibly, it's right up there, that's for sure. Yeah. But like you said, Jade Cargill wins by pinfall with Jaded to retain the AEW TBS Championship. Anyway, but we move on to the next matchup. It is the American Dragon, Bryan Danielson, versus Chris Jericho versus Claudio Castagnoli versus Sammy Guevara for the Ring of Honor World Championship, as Jericho is the one to defend. This match, I didn't really like it until kind of like halfway through. Once the Sammy Jericho stuff started rolling along, it got a lot more interesting, but it was kind of obvious. We both called this match pretty much how it's going to go, and it did. And Jericho retains and wins by pinfall with the Judas effect on Claudio Castagnoli to retain the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Yeah, this was a tale of two matches. I agree. It started out really slow, and I was not digging it, but once they stopped being JAS versus BCC, it sped up and it got much better. The second act was definitely quite good. But I have a little side story here. So, La Sicaria and Juventud Sicario picked up dinner and brought it back, and we don't keep soda in the house usually, and so I asked for 2 Cokes, one for dinner and one to give me fuel while I'm here. And so at dinner, there's 2 Cokes. And so Juventud Sicario takes one, and La Sicaria says, "No, that's for Jeff. That's for Jeff for later." And he goes, "Oh," and I take it and I walk and I take it to the fridge. Well, I go to the fridge. He drank the fucking Coke. So I'm going crazy. I'm yelling, "Motherfucker!" God damn it! Really? And they're like, "Are you really mad about a Coke?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm mad about a Coke. I need the fucking Coke." So I'm here in the office. I close the doors. I lock the door. I put I have a little Nixon statuette I put there so no one can come in. I'm like, leave me the fuck alone. I'm like, leave me in fucking peace. I just want to be left alone. They went out and they bought me a can of Coke. I'm like, I don't want. Just leave me alone. Just leave me in peace. They're like, you're being a baby. I'm like, I don't care. Leave me alone. So that was the first half of this match.
Damn.
Yeah. So I'm not really sure that the first half wasn't so good, to be honest, because I was a little bit distracted.
It sucked. Believe me, it actually sucked.
With my temper. I mean, I saw the opening moments and then my temper tantrum. But by the time I got back, it was good. That's like around when they transitioned, and Claudio and Brian were fighting, and that was cool, and the ending was cool, and it wasn't that Jericho cheated, to beat Guevara, which is sort of what we thought. Right. But Jericho really didn't even. I mean, he sort of snuck in, but not really. It wasn't even dirty. Yeah. I mean, he won basically clean. I mean, he did. Guevara was out, and Jericho jumped over him, did sort of a Judas effect. It wasn't. Yeah. He didn't hit it all the way. He realized it instead of pretending he did, and he hit another one all the way, and won the match clean. And Sammy Guevara was still making a face like, "Why'd you do that? Why'd you do that, Paul?" So they really shouldn't continue the story anymore with that, and hopefully they won't. But Jericho retained. Pretty much everyone predicted that. A few people predicted, Brian. No one predicted Claudio. A couple of people said, well, they should put it on Sammy. He's the young one. But
no, not yet. It's
good
not his time yet.
This match was good. I mean, up until this point, this was, to me, what was my second favorite match out of 4. So I mean, but yeah, I mean, the half that I paid attention to, I liked.
No, absolutely, me too. And the first half did suck. Trust me, it really did. The second half was brilliant, and this now sets up, I guess, for a Jericho Sammy Guevara Ring of Honor World Title match in the future. I'm not going to say it's going to happen right away, but I think it does set up where possibly Sammy Guevara actually becomes your Ring of Honor champion. I will say this: where was Ty Conti, man?
Where's Ty Conti? Where's Anna JAS? Where's Daniel
Sure.
Garcia? Where's Matt Maynard? Where's
What's going on?
Cool Hand Angelo Parker? I mean, we saw Jake Hager in the back, but not in a back segment, but not there, which, by the way, is fine. Whenever they choose less people instead of more people, it's good. And remember when we were doing Rampage, when we were doing Uncaged, I said that I thought that Tony might panic and do a lot of spinneroonies and whatever, but that generally they're pretty good about not having too much nonsense of pay-per-views. And so he's not panicking. Basically, it wasn't too much nonsense in it. So I really don't have any complaints about that. So yeah, where are they? Where indeed, interesting question, but not everyone gets to be on a pay-per-view.
No, absolutely, you're right. But they have been missing for more than just a pay-per-view, though, lately. That's the thing. But anyway, it is what it is.
Oh, Anna Jay was on a match recently.
Only Anna Jay, right. But no, where's Maynard and Ange? And where's...
I think they're both married to the... I think they're both married to the DraftKings woman.
Maybe.
Right.
Maybe. Well, we move on to the next matchup. It is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, versus Saraya. And... it was a battle of the houses and whose house it was. Mm-hmm. But Saraya ends up winning by pinfall with a capture DDT in a decent match. It was okay. It was all right. I mean...
Yeah. I mean, people were shitting on this match. I mean, I didn't think it was bad. I thought that both women performed pretty well. I mean, the curb stomps were not really curb stomps. They were sort of middle of your back stomps.
No girl stomps. No girl stomps.
They were girl stomps. I mean, a couple too many false finishes. Okay, AEW did the same thing with Brian when he came back. They had Brian pretend that his head was injured when it wasn't, and Saraya started doing the same thing, like she was even pretending like her left arm wasn't working, but Britt caught onto it. I mean, they do weird things where they sort of toy with real injuries, and like, which is a Healy thing to do, not a face thing to do, and I don't know if I like it or not. I didn't really like it here. I mean, you knew as soon as you showed Zach Zodiac or Saraya's brother, whatever, there's a relative there, that's like increases the chances of a victory. But everyone knew Saraya had to win this match. She did win this match. She won it clean. Britt came out alone, so she didn't have her backup. Yeah, it was okay.
That's true.
And Saraya took my advice. She changed up her wardrobe. She had something that was pushing up the boob, showing a little cleavage. So she got my $1, my full gear $1, and so.
So she did. She got you $1.
Yeah, she got my $1. Yeah,
100% got your $1.
Yeah, I really wanted to give it.
I'd buy that for $1.
Sorry, I had to.
It's my fault. I have to pick up on those cues.
Because I kept asking you.
I only do 11 shows with you a week. I mean, I know.
I know, that's true. I mean, geez. But it's always a pleasure, Jeff. But yeah. I mean, Saraya looks a lot better than I was probably expecting. I mean, Britt kind of did carry the match, though, but I guess we're still going to continue with this feud, or we just move on now. It's like it never happened, because clearly Britt Baker didn't give a fuck that she lost.
Well, I mean, later on we see Britt, getting involved with Tony,
but
we've already seen that. So you're asking me what AEW is going to do with their women's division? I couldn't possibly.
Who the fuck knows? Well, yeah, that's true. Well, speaking of,
I assume Sky Blue will be involved.
Please forget it. Enough of her already. But after the match, though, we see footage of Jon Moxley getting some last-minute prep in with Wheeler Yuta and William Regal. As we move on to the next matchup,
that was
Jeff.
so corny.
That was corny. It was like it was
real
MMA.
Booing him. They're booing.
Yeah, we'll get to that at the main event. But yeah,
I felt
sort of bad.
Him here too.
Oof, I felt bad for Moxley, dude. I'm not gonna lie.
They were booing Regal also. It's like everybody knew what was going to happen.
It was either MJF wins or.
I mean, I know all 9,600 of the ticket holders listen to the PWC, so they probably got tipped off by us.
Yeah, for sure.
We're huge in Newark. We're huge in the North New Jersey area.
Actually, we are. We've got a lot of listeners in Jersey, believe it or not. I
Yes,
think
we do.
Jersey could be one of our highest listener base in the States because, it shows what states are listening to you the most. We're very popular on the West Coast, though, too.
Well, you know what New Jersey is? It's the Garden State. And
Hey,
Garden
that's
of
what
Doom
also...
and Garden Views. Mm.
Funny, Melbourne, Victoria is also known as the Garden State.
Well, a lot of synchronicities happening here.
There we go. How's
And
that?
you can learn all about synchronicities on many episodes of the Garden of Doom.
You can, absolutely. You can also check out Garden of Doom on the Hameen Media Network too. Just quietly.
It's true. It's true.
It's true. It's damn true.
Not quietly, loudly.
Loudly.
Yeah.
Absolutely loudly. Well, speaking of loudly, we had a Huss match up next. It was Samoa Joe versus Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs for your AEW TNT Championship. Wardlow was the one defending, and we both said, actually, not just us two, pretty much everyone at the PWC Network pretty much said that Joe was here to take the pin between Wardlow or Hobbs.
He's the old guy.
What?
His title wasn't on the line.
Right. And we did say, actually, on the prediction show, Jeff, you and I were both talking, and you brought it up first, that even if Joe did win, which we doubted, but if he did win, you'd be cool with it. And I said, me too.
Joe two
but
belts
it won't happen.
Would be awesome.
Right.
But I was
Joe two belts.
I was fantasy booking.
Right,
I
exactly.
wasn't predicting that at all. I mean,
no.
I don't want to mislead the audience if they're listening first.
No.
But we did run through that scenario and a game plan that would be cool, and we were both okay with it. But what we forgot was that Tony Khan masturbates to tapes of Ring of Honor, and Samoa Joe was the longest reigning Ring of Honor champion. So there's a lot of there's a lot of Tony Khan's DNA between him and it's got a lot of double helix, a lot of coiled snakes between him and Samoa Joe.
Yeah, coiled snake.
He wants his hug. He wants Samoa Joe to give him that hug. He's going to get that motherfucking hug. He's probably getting that hug right now on the media scrum.
He's probably getting fluffed up by TK right now as we speak.
That's right.
Yuck. Anyway, enough of DNA.
Like, I put on the Hawaiian Tropic for you, Joe. I hope you like it.
Oh, and then slaps his fat ass like as he's walking off. Can you imagine Joe's reaction to it and be like, what?
Do you like canola oil? Do you like chamomile?
Oh, God.
I made you a virgin pina colada with cocaine.
Drink.
Yeah, got this match completely wrong.
Well, I think everyone did. I mean, was there anyone that thought realistically that Joe was going to win? And if anyone says yes, bullshit.
I didn't hear a single person do it on. I didn't see anyone on Twitter. I didn't.
Nobody.
I didn't hear it on the 6 or 7 wrestling podcasts I routinely listen to, and I guess through Figure 4 on the free stuff on Figure 4 online or Wrestling Observer online, I probably get 4 or 5 different podcasts a week from that. They didn't mention any. I mean, nobody had this. I guess if you can't decide between your 2 young bucks, you do what King Solomon would do, not Jason Solomon, and you don't choose. You give it to the old guy, and you ignore the kids. They're young. They got time. Actually, Wardlow's not that young. Did we say he's 35 or 36?
Yeah, dude. I was shocked. I was like, I could have sworn he was in his 20s still, but damn, was I wrong.
Yeah.
So much for a rookie, right? I mean,
well, Tony swerved us with Samoa Joe's belt not being on the line. I mean, that was a little bit weird. And it'd be nice to say, well, he's not going to put any Ring of Honor titles on an AEW pay-per-view, which is not true, but that's why FTR was there. Because, I mean, we just talked about the Fatal 4-Way.
Right. God, man. Unbelievable. Well, Joe ends up winning the AEW TNT Championship by submission with the Coquina Clutch on Powerhouse Hobbs. Before we move on, Jeff, though,
how stupid is Wardlow posing for the crowd in a title match on a pay-per-view and doing this? He deserved to lose. So I'm actually, and
when you do that stupid fucking slap, whatever he does, how he's like,
yeah, he does the wind up for his little.
Fucking please, man, stop doing that.
He's a big guy. He needs to watch more Road Warriors and Doom matches to learn how to.
Absolutely. Take that advice. Wardlow.
Look, I would have been very happy if Hobbs won. I would have been surprised, but very happy.
Me too.
You know what?
I would have been happy with either one of them winning. Actually,
I'm okay with the ending. Like Joe Two Belts is pretty cool. I mean, but like I wouldn't be surprised if like he was injured and out for the next 4 months. I mean,
don't say that.
That's what happens. He wins titles and he gets injured.
True.
He won the NXT title and then he was injured and had to be stripped of it immediately.
Fucking sad. Well, look, like I said, I'm happy about it. It's surprising, even though we did talk over that what if scenario. Yeah. But even we were like, yeah, but that's not going to happen though. But it'd be cool if it did, but it won't.
It's as likely as Luchasaurus has the genius gimmick.
Right, it's true. It's true. We'll see. Maybe they are listening to us, Jeff. Who knows? But yeah, like I said, Samoa Joe wins the AEW TNT Championship, and he's Joey Two Belts, I guess. Joey Two Belts and multiple promotions.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, we get Tony Schiavone interviewing Chris Jericho and Jake Hager in the back. Jericho says you might call what happened between him and Sammy Guevara dissension, but he calls it competitiveness, and he appreciates it because Sammy is a future world champion, but not tonight because he's the Ocho and the greatest Ring of Honor world champion of all time. I didn't mind this little promo, but after that, though, Orange Cassidy and Danhausen then roll up. Orange says he's got a good friend who's a former Ring of Honor champion who deserves a title match. And guess who that friend is, Jeff?
And this is when it went downhill. I know who that friend is. It's Shrink Wrap Mini King Kong Bundy.
It's Shrink Wrap Mini King Kong Bundy in Tomohiro Ishii, and he wants that match on Wednesday. Jericho reminds Cassidy that he owes him $7,000 for a jacket and addresses Ishii, telling him he remembers him as a young boy back when he worked for Tenaru, getting him his coffee and shining his shoes. If he wants a shot, he's got it. Hager asks Orange what's in the bag, and Cassidy pulls out the All-Atlantic Championship and books a title match before complimenting him on his hat, which Jake accepts angrily. And again, I don't get, like, I love the hat thing, but are we getting a Jake Hager Orange match also now for the All-Atlantic Championship?
I'm not clear if it's on Dynamite or Rampage, but yes, we are. My guess is it's going to be the main event on Rampage. I didn't even realize at the time the All-Atlantic belt was not defended on this card, because I guess Newark is nowhere near the Atlantic. So,
oh god! And what's this shit? There's a video package after that of a sad cowboy hitting people with a guitar, and then there's wrestlers who are really ghosts or something, like in The Crow or The Cure. Anyway, they ain't playing, Jeff. Apparently, they ain't playing because Lethal comes in. His shorts have a really weird pattern on them that draws attention to his pee-pee, but in a bad way, Jeff.
It's the PWC. That? We're going to talk about the penis. We're going to talk about penis, people.
It kind of made him look really small or something, man. I don't know, Jeff.
We talk about small penises, too.
And then he comes the other guy, the outlaw cowboy Mans.
Now we know why Jay Lethal's been in minor league most of his life.
That's right. Jeff Jarrett comes out. Anyway, it's like if your uncle took steroids, Jeff Jarrett will be the guy. Anyway, who cares? He comes out to his old school sort of garb, and then we got the match between Darby Allin and Sting versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett in a no disqualification match.
All right, this one was a no disqualification match. Was it a no disqualification match?
It was.
Okay, well, all right, then all this shit with Satnam Singh and the referee just looking at it makes sense, so that's fine.
Yeah, I guess it is fine, and it was fun. Even what Satnam, the way they've been using Satnam lately, I've actually enjoyed. That's how you use it.
I mean, I liked how Darby did that coffin drop from, and he just caught him and then threw him aside. I mean,
that was brilliant, dude.
He just throws him.
That was great. That was awesome, man.
But I really can't decide. I mean, AEW's roster is so cluttered, so this is sort of fine for Darby, but he's someone that they, said was going to be like one of their future stars, and it's 3.5 years later, and he's doing gimmick matches with Sting. And I can't decide if they're wasting him or if they're actually protecting him and extending his career by him only wrestling twice every 6 or 7 weeks and one in a gimmick match.
I'd like to say the latter, Jeff, because it feels that way.
let's go with that. Let's just be positive because it's late. But yeah, this match was exactly what it was supposed to be.
It was a fun match for a garbage match, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, I would have preferred this was like on the pre-show to get people wound up, as opposed to the other nonsense. But like you said, you don't have Sting and Jeff Jarrett and put it on the pre-show. You don't give that away for free, I guess. But yeah, it was fine. I mean, Darby doing the Undertaker sit-up was weird. But he wasn't the
doing
only
the Sting fucking punches to the chest was weird
that's,
too.
That's less weird, but I guess if he's mimicking Sting mimics the Undertaker thing. So
I'm waiting for this, baby.
He's morphing into Sting, and whatever. Match was fine, and as we said, Sting is not on AEW pay-per-views to lose matches. He's there to win matches, and Jeff Jarrett doesn't care. He can lose matches. Did he break a guitar over anyone?
I think he did. I'm pretty sure he did.
I think he did. But did he
on
miss
the outside,
like Sanjay Dutt or something? Or
yeah,
did he
some shit like that. It was on the outside. I could have sworn. I do recall him hitting someone or barely or missing.
And what was the point of all those fake Stings? They didn't do anything, and they weren't helping to confuse Sting or Darby or anything. They didn't
those
really
Stings little stingers.
They didn't really serve any function. It's not like he rented the factory as extra muscle, or it was just like people for the sake of nothing. I mean, was that like? I mean, I know the Undertaker had druids, and Joey Ryan had penis druids, and Dalton Castle had the boys. I mean, there's been other people that had processions, but was Jeff Jarrett ever one of those that had a procession of people following him? Because Sting wasn't.
Other than Deborah and her puppies.
Right, no. but that's a good pull.
Yeah, very good.
And also, Karen Jarrett.
Yes, that's another good pull. Too. That's a great pull. What a prick.
Right. And, I mean, to leave an Olympic gold medalist for Jeff Jarrett.
I can't believe it, man.
I mean, literally a guy who would sell snake oil and shark cartilage. I mean,
literally. And Karen Angle, for her age, is great. Don't get me wrong. She was always good looking, but she comes across as one of those dumb, wives that doesn't know shit. You need to have money, basically, for her. That's all she cares about. That's it. As long as you keep feeding her the fucking Benjamins, she's all good.
All right.
That's just the impression I get. I don't know.
Probably around the time Kurt was probably going through the family fortune pretty quickly.
Well, lucky for Kurt, he's got a much younger and probably better looking chick right now. Well, we got Demetrius Ponticus in the chat laughing. Are you laughing at me or are you laughing at Karen? Because
he's laughing at you. With you. He's laughing with you.
He better be. Anyway, Darby Allin and Sting.
Jimmy of the Pontic Step.
That's it. Darby and Sting win by pinfall with a coffin drop from Allin on Jay Lethal. Not much to write home about other than it was a fun little nostalgic match, but it was typical.
Yeah.
But we move on to the drama next, Jeff, because it's Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm for the interim AEW Women's World Championship.
Best line of the night. The commentary is going, Tony Schiavone is going, the crowd has really gotten behind Jamie Hayter lately. And then Jim Ross totally lies and says, they love Toni Storm too? No, they don't. Nobody cares. No, nobody cares. She's supposed to be the face. She's such a zero. Thank God this experiment is over. Well, welcome to the land of Diamante and Abaddon, Toni Storm. You'll fit right in.
Nah, she's not going to get pushed down the card like that. Come on, dude.
She should. She's terrible. Nobody cares.
Really? You think she's terrible?
She's a zero. Such a zero.
I'll tell you one thing. She's not been herself in AEW. She's a much better fucking wrestler than what we've seen in All Elite Wrestling. I'm telling you that, Jeff.
Well, she sucked in WWE. She sucked in NXT.
No, NXT she was good. In WWE, we saw glimpses, but then they destroyed her with the Charlotte cake thing, and she was never the same.
Lots of people end up in cake. They're fine. It's a wrestling trope. If there's cake, it's going in someone's face. I mean, this happens all the time.
Tony didn't want cake in her face, bro.
Well, too fucking bad. I mean, she's putting her cakes in everyone's face.
Touche. I like it.
Anyway,
that's true. That's true.
I was never. Everyone was. She's one of those people that everybody's always been talking about, and I've never seen her outside of NXT, WWE, AEW, and I've never been impressed with her. Not a single day in my life.
Well, that's you, I think, and I'm not saying this because she's from Australia, right? It's got nothing to do with that. I'll shit on my own in a heartbeat. No, it's not that. But I do think she's a lot better than
one Australian wrestler that you don't like.
That I don't like? Well, yeah. Hudson is one.
Duke Hudson? He's South African.
He's actually, he's South African. Really, but he's Australian, though.
No, he does suck. You're right. Okay.
He sucks.
Right. I almost said one. You did it.
And well, I can go on too. Believe me, I hated Billy Kay.
You love Jars of Mayonnaise Aussie Open. You love Grayson Waller.
I like Aussie Open. Grayson Waller, I don't mind so far. He's too Aussie though, if you get what I mean by that.
I mean, I'll give you Rhea because she's terrific. I'll give you
Rhea's the best by a mile.
Terrific without a personality, but he's terrific.
Right. Wait, who'd you say is
Buddy Matthews? Terrific wrestler, no personality, but great wrestler.
That's the problem with Buddy. Buddy's got the potential.
What about him?
Jonah's got a bit of personality, and he's a big bad Samoan type of guy. You know what I'm saying? So
he's Australian. He fucking sucks. I mean,
what about the other Australian Samoan dude?
The pig. I'm done with WWE.
What about the other Samoan Aussie?
I'm going to become like the Wendell Baugh. I'm going to become a total AEW Mark Target.
Hey, you got to say that Quinn has got a lot of potential, though.
Who?
Quinn.
Oh, Zion Quinn.
Yes,
he's got the look. I mean, but like he gets hurt a lot, and he's okay as a wrestler. I haven't seen much.
No, he's not that great as a wrestler, man. Let's be honest. He's not really that good, but it has the potential because they can teach him how to wrestle. Like eventually, he will know how to wrestle, but he won't be anything like a.
You'd be funny if they made him like Roman Reigns' administrative assistant, and they put him like in Clark Kent glasses and a suit, and he's got to take notes and shit. He's like the scribe.
Come on.
Remember when Jeff Hardy broke in? Matt Hardy had the scribe, and like this fat guy would just appear and be like, "Yes, sir."
No, man, that would destroy him, man. But look,
it would be the best thing that ever happened to him.
A lot of Aussie wrestlers do suck.
Did it destroy Stacy Keibler? Did it destroy Alexander York? Did it
Alexander York?
Right. Is it destroying Kiana James? No. It was the best thing that Dana Brooke ever did in her career when she was doing statistics for Titus Worldwide.
True. That I agree with.
That was her best work, period. They were like 2 segments with Reggie that were sort of sweet.
Well, I agree with you, but let's get back to the women's World Championship matchup. I'm only doing this for you, Jeff, because it's late for you, man. I can go on and on, but come on. Well, and also Demetrius says in the chat, Grayson Waller has charisma, but he overdoes it. He hasn't done enough for me yet. Obviously, he hasn't done enough. And he does overdo it. He overdoes that Aussie-ness, if that makes any sense sometimes.
I hate him. Button up your shirt, you jerk.
But he's got something, and I think he's got potential. He's just too small. That's another problem.
Skinny, he's got bad hair, his eyes are too close together. He looks like a Nazi.
You know what I was going to say he looks like? You know when you've had a rough night, like you've been out clubbing for fucking like a whole 24 hours pretty much?
No, I don't.
Well, I'm sure back in your day you might have done it here and there, I'm sure. Never? Of course not. He's lying, folks. But anyway, he reminds me of one of those guys. He came out of the club at like 8 in the morning or some shit.
He's totally a night at the Roxbury guy. He's definitely one of the bros. Like that.
Yeah. He'd be like, hey, mate, what's going on? Hey, come here, mate.
Never scores at the club, but goes every single week. In the same place every week.
I think he'd score
a few. What do you think about that one? 100%. What do you think about that one? Yeah. Babe, yeah. Is she looking at me? Yeah, she's looking at me. She's not looking at me.
Come on, mate. She's looking at me. Come on. Because that's how he talks.
He's definitely that dude. Yeah, absolutely.
Too Aussie.
He could have been on the Jersey Shore and he would have fit in just fine.
Oh yeah, for sure. But
he's definitely a fist pump guy.
He's definitely a fist pump guy, and he's not even a wog. And when I say wog, an ethnic Aussie, because they're the ones known as your fist pump guys. But you're right, he's a wannabe wog, not that. That's Grayson Waller.
It is great.
But anyway, let's move on. But as we were saying, Jamie Hayter wins the interim AEW Women's World Championship by pinfall with a Haterade. But I just want to touch on, we did sort of touch on it earlier, but I want to say it now. One too many near falls. It should have been done when Britt Baker done the girl stomp, I'll call it, outside of the ring and threw it back into the ring, and where Hayter done her finishes there, and then fucking Storm still kicked out. That was the ending. That should have been done and dusted right then and there, but no, we had another 5 near falls after that, and that was 5 too many, Jeff.
Like, what is the point of having the outside interference assistance and it doesn't work, and there's no turn between Britt and Jamie Hayter? And if there was supposed to be one, it should have been tonight. Like, Jamie should have said, no, Britt, I told you I want to do it on my own, and she should have popped her. And then when the crowd cheered for her, then it makes sense, because now Jamie Hayter's instantly a face. The crowd wants her to be anyway. They love her, and nobody cares about Tony. So let her turn heel and let the crowd boo her, because they want to boo her, because she gets no reaction now, so she can be booed. I mean, they could have done it. There was a perfect opportunity for a double turn. You're exactly right. The outside interference was nothing, and because there was so little outside interference in this match, so little shenanigans, it was just weird, and it was just, like, again, a show that goes for 4 hours and 40 minutes. If you can cut 4 or 5 minutes off of things, cut 4 or 5 minutes off of things and make it more impactful. I mean, your ending is actually better.
Thanks.
And
but it should have been. Come on, everyone will say that. I'm sure it just felt like that's where it should have ended, but it is what it is. It's AEW. They love dragging shit on, and they're the kings of fucking near falls, and let's have another 20 near falls. Anyway, let's move on from that matchup, because we have our tag team championship match next, which is between Swerve in our glory holes in Limitless Keith Lee and Shane Swerve Strickland versus the Acclaimed in Anthony Bowens and Max Caster, and it is for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I didn't like this match, Jeff.
It wasn't very good. It wasn't very good, but it had sort of the ending everyone expected, which was, it was basically the same thing as the Fenix Pac story, except Keith Lee declined to cheat with, what was that, pliers? Yeah, it was the pliers they was using to injure the fingers. And then Swerve slapped Keith Lee, and Keith Lee basically just walked out of the ring on him, left him alone, and then it was Swerve against the Acclaim.
Like a boo-boo. He had a boo-boo. Started crying and shit, and he's walking off. Come on.
Bowens was selling that his shoulder was really hurt, and they having trouble getting the double team move on, which was weird. But
too much of this.
Yeah. I mean, for the third match in a trilogy, I mean, unfortunately, these guys had such a great match together in Queens at Flushing at Grand Slam. Sort of hard to live up to that again. But it was fine. I mean, again, this is a match that could have or should have been shorter. But, I mean, it wasn't bad. It's just like I ran out of gas sometime around the women's match. Like, and everyone knows I'm not that big a fan of women's wrestling to begin with. And it was late. And I was just out of energy. I didn't have the energy to pay attention. I didn't have the energy to get excited. I mean, and that shouldn't happen at the end of the show. And like, I wasn't too active on Twitter during it, but I saw like Brian Alvarez say, the crowd is starting to get tired. And he said it either around the women's match or the match right before him. And people get tired. It's too much. And I'm sure people who are listening to the show are tired of hearing us say it and everyone else say it. But Tony, it's too much.
That's true. It's too much, TK. Too much Coke too, bro.
Yeah. The matches are too long. Your endings are overbooked. And you have too much like self-indulgence on there and indulgent matches. Like, we didn't need that thing with Ishii set up for Jericho. That could wait a week. And if Ishii couldn't come in a week, you have 42,000 former Ring of Honor champions on your roster.
It's true. That's true also. You're right. Spot on and well said, man. And I'm with you. I couldn't have put it better than myself. But let's actually get to the main event, Jeff. Let's do you a favor. Let's get you sort of rolling. But it is.
So proud of you, son.
Oh, God. It is your AEW World Championship matchup between Jon Moxley, your champion, versus Maxwell Jacob Freeman. Now, I mean, this match was great. It was brilliant. I mean, everyone was behind MJF. Everyone was booing Moxley out of the building, bro.
And Regal.
It was something to see, dude. I mean, I was like, what the hell, man? Like, I actually felt bad for Moxley, not so much for Regal.
It was just weird. I didn't feel bad for him. It was weird.
It was weird. It was. And you know what? At one point, it felt like Moxley was kind of shifting into a more heelish type of working, like in the ring.
But he's always works sort of this
heelish, right? No, you're right.
I mean,
because he cheats. You know what I mean? Like, when I say cheat, he pulls out all the stomps. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not like Newark and Long Island are that close to each other, or even culturally, friendly with each other. Probably if you're in Iowa or Australia, whatever, you think that what's the difference between Long Island and Newark? And you're right. But there, it makes a big difference. Like, no one in Long Island's like, ooh, Newark, there are people. No one in Newark is like, Long Island, oh, that's our people. No, I mean, that ain't it, dog. But it's just so weird. I mean, Moxley has carried this fucking company for a year. Like, what hasn't the guy done? And he's done, like, GCW shows and Bloodsport, and, he's gone to shows with his, like, 132 people while he's the AEW champion, and I don't know, and he's cried over matches with Tanahashi just like Kingston did. I mean, at least I've heard of Tanahashi, for God's sake.
Akiyama, you're meaning, right?
I don't care. Japanese
Jun
Mr.
Akiyama,
Clean.
damn it.
I don't care about Japanese Mr. Clean. And if you tell me that guy wasn't Baron Von Raschke, I'm calling you a liar. That was fucking Baron Von Raschke. That's who that was. Baron Von Raschke song.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you had to say there, Jeff?
I think not.
Well, since it's the main event, let me just go through the match and then we'll take it home. But Moxley gets a huge right hand out of the gates. Freeman fires off a weak slap in return, and John drops him with a right hand. Chops in the corner, grinding Max's face across the top rope. More chops, pulling his hair in the turnbuckles. Side headlock, shot off, duck a lariat, drop down, and MJF shuts over him and spanks himself on the ass, Jeff. What was that about there, man?
I don't know. I'm only expert on penis for the PWC. I don't know about ass spanking.
Oh, well. Well, after that, we get a low bridge.
You need Chris Hams for the ass.
Ah, true. The Bush in the Morning guy you're talking about?
That's the one.
Jeez. I sent an SOS to him today, and I still don't hear from him.
Go fuck yourself.
He's pretty much telling me to go fuck myself without saying a word.
He's like, I'm sick of your penis talk. He's like, I'm not down with the penis.
Well, screw you then, Chris. You will be down with the penis sooner or later.
Get on board with the cock.
Exactly. Get on board with the cock for $9.99. The Cock Express, Jesus Christ.
All
anyways,
phallic symbols.
Jesus, man. Let's get this. Enough of the dicks. How about we go back to the match? Because MJF ends up spitting something in Moxie's face as Moxie throws him into the steel steps. Back inside, forearms in the corner, a Irish whip across. Max explodes out with a lariat and both men are down and out. Jabs and a huge left from Freeman when he gets to his feet, smashing the champion's face into the turnbuckles over and over. Then we get a front kick, underhook. MJF then fights out and Judo throws him into the turnbuckles for 2. Max goes to the floor and clears the timekeeper's table, dragging it over and putting it next to the ring on the ramp. And then back inside, Mox cuts him off with an ace crusher and grabs his hands to kick his head in. Stomps on stomps on stomps to the apron. Moxie with a gosh grip, but MJF slips out, double thrust to the throat, gets him up, tombstone pole drive on the apron, but Max's knee gives out and he's screaming in agony as he's slow to cover. Not enough though. Back to the apron. Freeman knees give out and then Mox takes advantage. MJF barely beats the count and comes back inside with a paradigm shift. So close though, as Moxley hammers the bad leg with kicks, puts a figure 4 leg lock on. Max kicking out on pins, grabbing Remsburg by the lapels in his agony, screaming bloody murder, trying to roll over and reverse the pressure. Slapping himself into the face, he rolls over and reverses the pressure, but Moxley's right in the ropes and gets the break. Basically, towards the end though, Freeman pulls the diamond ring out of his trunks and stares at it as William Regal storms down the ramp, furious. He tells MJF...
I thought the diamond ring was going to be his knee pad, which is why he was like doing the knee injury when he did the pile driver on the apron. That would have made sense.
Well, that's not what happened, because he tells MJF to put the ring down and Max throws it out of the ring and flips him off as John comes from behind with a sleeper hold. Freeman then steps up onto the turnbuckles into a pin, and referee Paul Turner is here to count. Still no 3. They tumble back into Turner, which I'm talking about, the referee, and knock him out right now as Rimsberg is recovering as Mox gets the bulldog choke and MJF taps out, but Bryce isn't up all the way, so he doesn't see it. Regal then tells John to wake him up, and slips Max a set of nuts as MJF drops him with a right hand and hides the nuts, crawling over for the 1, 2, 3, and your new AEW World Champion. It is Sir Maxwell Jacob Freeman, MJF.
Very exciting. This is what a lot of people call. This is what we call, right down to the diamond ring non-usage, but the brass knucks being slipped to MJF.
We
the
did,
question
and
was
we were
where
the
the
first.
firm fit in. We couldn't figure out where the firm fit in, and it turns out they didn't. So good. Good ending. Crowd went crazy. I can't really see MJF as a face.
It was a dusty finish,
Yeah,
Jeff.
It was. It was a predictable swerve, which is not really the worst thing. You sort of giving the people what they want and expect. I have a feeling Tony thought that people would be surprised, but nobody was.
Come on. Surprised. If he felt that way, he's an idiot.
Yeah, well, there you have it. Yep, I agree.
We knocked him out with ease, Jeff. He just went boom.
I mean, it's going to be weird that people are going to be cheering this heel, and he's going to have to be, more and more heelish. Be interesting to see how him and Regal interplay. I assume Moxley's going to take some time off, but that would be strange because there's got to be some story with Regal and Moxley confronting him, and I told you I was the devil, and where do Brian and young Wheeler fit into this, and Claudio. I mean, how do they fit in at all? Do they? Probably not. They all go their own way. I don't know. Whatever. I guess we'll see. You know what? It's a cliffhanger. I'm not particularly intrigued in most of these things, but they're cliffhangers, and that's wrestling 101. So well done.
Absolutely well done. And look, I think it's the right time now for Moxley to shoot off for 6 weeks because, one, he needs to reevaluate what's going on with the BCCs, whatever you want to call them. And second of all, I think it would be good for him to disappear a little bit after that sort of heat Moxley was getting, because that was go-away heat, it felt like, dude. Yeah. It really felt like go-away heat. And I think just him going away for a little bit, literally.
Telegraph Wednesday night when he got he clearly didn't care, and he didn't even know what day the show was on. The weird thing is for him to go on vacation and his wife just signed with him like she goes on vacation. I mean, in this cost-cutting measure where in the last 7 or 8 weeks, Tony Khan signed Renee Paquette, Saraya, A.R. Fox, Bandito,
Roosh.
Who?
Roosh.
Roosh Takeshita.
Yes.
Right. So, yeah, I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting about.
Yokozuna. Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, all the dead guys. I mean, he signed them all.
He has signed them all. Jeff Jarrett. I mean,
oh yeah, Jeff Jarrett.
It's not like he's adding people that
Sanjay
are cheap. Yeah, that's been a while, but I mean, the Elite are back on payroll. I mean, I'm assuming their suspension was without pay. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong.
No, actually, apparently it was with pay.
Okay,
great suspension that one.
So I don't know how he's cutting costs by adding people and bringing in Japanese people that nobody wants to see.
You're not wrong. You're right. But you know what, Jeff, before we go, give me your final thoughts on the whole pay-per-view as a whole. What would you rate it out of 10 as we go home?
It's better than I thought, but I don't think it was a spectacular show. I got 11 out of 13 right, which means it was too predictable. No surprises, no new faces, because there aren't any. At least none that anybody would get excited about. I mean, that's just the sad truth. I would say it was pretty good. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I know this corresponds to a lower letter grade, but I'll go like 7.25, 7.5, something like that.
Yeah, that's about right. I'll go about an 8. I enjoyed it. I actually did enjoy it. It was better than I was expecting it to be. And hey, look,
Baron von Raschke.
I love Von Raschke. He's one of my favorites, but not really. Yeah, the good old claw. Exactly. I mean, imagine doing that gimmick now, that Nazi gimmick, like right now. Could he get away with that? I doubt it. But
no, Imperium is about the closest.
It's very close, I think. It's because there's been certain things they've done in NXT especially that will make you question things, sort of. But yeah, they are the closest thing, and I love it. I mean, it's pro wrestling, man. We go with society, and that's how it should be done, always.
Wrestling used to be edgy. It used to be on the edgy side of television. Now it's on the tame side. It's sad.
It is. It's sad, and let's hope we get a bit edgier as we go on. But yeah, I'll give it an 8 out of 10 for sure. In saying that, though, Jeff, tell them where they can find you, my man. Unless there's something else you want to say before you tell them where they can find you.
Really isn't. Icarus Fell MD. I welcome followers. I'll interact. I enjoy it. It's fine. I once Elon took over, I lost 375,000 followers, so I need to get back to my 500,000. You can find me on the PWC with Jimmy T quite a bit, as well as shows on the Hami Media Group, and like this one on Channel Latitude. My other wrestling podcast is Hammerlock Hangover with Steve Pena, so that's my non-Jimmy T joint, and my non-wrestling podcasts are Garden of Doom and Garden Views on the Hami Media Group and the PWC. And Garden of Doom it's a journey of questions that I want answered, things that I don't know about, and Garden Views is the same thing, except Garden Views is like more like legal and real life and topical things like cannabis law and what are the laws of space going to be, whereas Garden of Doom is more like, where's the first vampire from? What's up with astrology? What do witches believe? What's a Indo-European? Where did languages begin? Things that go bump in the night, UFOs, stuff like that. So if you like Ancient Aliens, you like the Gaia channel, you like the Bigfoot, and with the Graham Hancock Ancient Apocalypse series or Skinwalker Ranch, Garden of Doom is a show for you.
Absolutely, the show for you and for everybody. In saying that, though, if you want to follow me, you can on Twitter at DJ Mass Effects and at the PWC Network. Please like and subscribe right here at channelattitude.com, where $5 you get us talking AEW. And also, please like and subscribe at the PWCNetwork.podbean.com, where you can find all our shows, including this one, and HamiMediaGroup.podbean.com, where you can find all our affiliate shows, including Jeff's. In saying that, though, Jeff, let's take it home. I'm Jimmy T. He's the Bloodshot Evil Dose, Jeff Lippman, and you've been listening and watching the HMG PWC Full Gear Postgame Show right here on channelattitude.com. And we're out of here. See you.
Sub-Zero Arrow. Stay evil, my friends.
Against the world, we can battle whoever. Together ain't no way we gon' fail. You know I got your back, just like a turtle shell. Nobody do it better. All my brothers tryna get some cheddar. We all wanna cut like the shredder. Me and my bros come together for the dough. Bought the orange Lamborghini, call it Michelangelo. With the nunchuck dough, and I'm pulling up slow. When we fall up in the party, they know anything goes. Check my Rolex, they say I'm the man of the hour. All this green in my pockets, you can call it turtle power. that could come in between me and my brothers. We all around if it's going down. It's just us, all for one, yeah, you hearin' right. Our business done, we disappear into the night. Came up together, so we all down for the fight. Ain't nothing wrong with that. Family ain't nothing strong as that. And I'll be posting word as strong as that. Brothers by my side, city on my back, real heroes. That's what the people want. They ain't born, gotta create them. Saying we gone soon as we save them. That's part of the plan. By my side, I'ma keep my brothers. Live or die, man, we need each other. Knock, knock, you about to get shell-shocked. We ride together. Knock, knock, you about to get shell-shocked. We ride together. Knock, knock, you about to get shell-shocked. Knock, knock, you about to get. Four winners. Try to tell them you don't wanna go to war with us. We beat them. Young riders, raised in the gutter, really started from the bottom. Hey, we all we ever had, we all we ever needed, and we undefeated. We be going hard and make it look easy. Give me the whole pie, real cheesy. I told you, girl, no, but you might not believe me. She taking pictures for me, told her smile for me. Pass her off, I'm a real team player. Bandana on my face like a gangster. Knock, knock, you about to get shell-shocked. 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 Like a flame, bury your head till it goes away. The camera, swallow the dagger, cut off the ones who disobey. Follow the leader into the fever, one by one until we burn. Swallow the camera, swallow the dagger, cut off the ones who disobey. Follow the leader.
سبحان فالق الإصباح.
Ding dong. Hello?
Yes, that's right, infidels. You found us here, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, where you get the most real talk, the best reviews of all your favorite wrestling shows from AEW and WWE, Impact, and more, because we're going to break it all down with the best staff in professional wrestling at HMG. So you don't need to go anywhere else, because there's no 5 stars here. There's only $5 face slaps, infidel.
Allahu Akbar!
So sign up today, channelattitude.com, Hameen Media Group, and join the Hameen Army for the most real talk in professional wrestling. YOLO!
The PWC Network. What the world is watching and listening to.